Welcome into another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, I'm looking at some Dynasty buys. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So, my first player, Brock Bowers. Now, he was the subject of some silly Twitter nonsense based on his preseason usage. I have zero concerns about that. So, let's look into why. So, last year, Bowers was great. In 17 games, he had 112 catches, 1,194 yards, 5 touchdowns, 153 targets, 6.6 catches, and 70.2 yards a game. He was overall fantasy tight end 1, just behind Kittle and McBride in PPR points a game. And there were some comparisons made. Well, Sam Laporta was the tight end 1 as a rookie. Well, I don't know if he can repeat it, but these are silly comparisons. Bowers earned targets like a wide receiver. Bowers had 153 targets. I mean, these are good wide receiver numbers. If a wide receiver put up these numbers, you'd be excited about that wide receiver. It wasn't all touchdowns. Actually, Bowers only had 5 touchdowns on 153 targets. Possibility for regression there in a positive way. Now, Bowers averaged 15.5 PPR points a game, third among tight ends, which is a hair behind what Kittle and McBride did. But again, a rookie on a weak offense, didn't have the touchdowns go his way. I'm pretty impressed by what we saw. Now, again, why is Bowers a dynasty buy? Why am I talking about him now? Well, yeah, I mean, he rotated snaps in the preseason. Okay. I don't care. I don't care about this. Why would the Raiders risk their obvious top weapon, who their quarterback, Geno Smith, says, I feel bad every time I can't throw him the ball. He was an every down player last year. I mean, even when Michael Mayer was healthy, we were seeing 90% of snaps for Brock Bowers. This is an elite player. I mean, we should not fade elite players for silly preseason usage. I don't care, right? I do not care. He had a 25.9% target share. That would be good for a wide receiver as a rookie. That would be really good. This is a tight end. 28.9% target rate. That's really good. He led all tight ends in air yards. He had 2.25 yards per route run. Again, that's solid for a wide receiver. The main thing with a tight end to separate the truly elite from the good is, do they earn targets and yards, not touchdowns, targets and yards like a wide receiver? Bowers did that. He's elite. There's no doubt about that, right? I mean, we're not doubting him. So, yeah, I mean, I still think there are some people who have doubt or they've been burned by other tight ends who did well in year 1. And it's left a buying window open for Bowers in some leagues. So the first one, you could get Brock Bowers for Tyler Warren, who has gained some value recently, and James Cook, who signed his contract, in a 1.0 tight end premium. So this league gives an extra point for tight ends. Brock Bowers in that league is a borderline top 5 pick. I like Tyler Warren. He's older or the same age, older, I think, than Brock Bowers. James Cook, we know, is a sell for me. This is a smash accept. This is silly. I don't understand this at all. Tyler Warren is still a maybe. We don't know if Tyler Warren is going to be elite for sure. And even if he is, he's not going to be as good as Brock Bowers. He wasn't as good of a prospect as Brock Bowers. So this one's not close for me. The next one I think is a little closer. I can understand this one. Bowers and a 27 and 28 second for Amon-Ra. For me, I would say that in a 0.5 tight end premium, Bowers and Amon-Ra are about equal. I'd probably lean Bowers, but because you're getting the 2 extra seconds, I would easily prefer the Brock Bowers side here. And then the last one, again, just makes no sense to me. Keon Coleman, Kyle Pitts, and 27 first. There's no tight end premium here. So I have seen people devalue tight ends in a non-tight end premium, but even in a non-tight end premium, I still think this is a low price for Brock Bowers that I would easily pay. I'd look to pay anything along these lines, depending on the league format, for Brock Bowers to try to get him on my dynasty team because he's a cornerstone asset that I completely believe in. Now, my next player is Jaylen Waddle. So Waddle is a player who's interesting. I feel like Waddle's price has not risen despite the fact that a lot of things have happened. Jonnu Smith was traded. Devon Achane is dealing with an injury. Tyreek Hill is not practicing, but Waddle's price is still low. And I think he's an interesting buy now because the price hasn't caught up. So we all know that last year Waddle was bad. right? I mean, he was bad. There's no way around it. 15 games, 58 catches, 744 yards, 2 touchdowns, 83 targets, 3.9 catches, and 49.6 yards a game. He was impacted, I'd say, the most of two things. One, Tua going in and out of the lineup, and two, the Jonnu Smith breakout. And, he was bad. I mean, he was not usable. Waddle was not usable last year. 10 PPR points a game, and redraft people had cut Waddle. He was not a usable wide receiver last year. That's fine. I think we all agree on that. Now, the question is Waddle just bad now, or was last year an outlier? So I think there's two things with Waddle that are keeping the buy window open. Number one, Waddle has this reputation of, he's always hurt. He always misses games. That's false. It's wrong. He's played in 62 of 68 games since entering the NFL. You're talking about 6 games missed in 4 years. That's 1.5 games a year. This is not a player who's always hurt. But he's done the thing that pisses people off. He plays when he's not 100%. He comes in and out of the game. So people are thinking that Jaylen Waddle is always hurt, always misses time. It's just not true. So we can eliminate that narrative. We saw it with T. Higgins. He was, injury prone, and then, no, he still misses time. But because he scored so many points, we don't care. People have no way to evaluate injuries in a fair way. They don't use the rational part of their brain. They just get angry. So, that's why I'm here to prevent you from doing that. But this is not a concern for me more than any other player. And Waddle was really good before last year. He averaged 5.3 catches and 72 yards a game, and that's including his rookie year. So he came out and was great from the beginning. He's still only 26, not 29, not 30. He turned 26 at the end of last season. He's 26 going on 27. So I don't think he's now in decline or became bad. And he's played a lot of different roles over his career. And as a rookie, he was more of a volume hog. Then in 2022, kind of a deeper role. And then 2023 was kind of a mix of those things. And if you look at his 17-game pace over the previous 3 years, he'd averaged 91 catches, 1,224 yards on 130 targets. So he was good. He was consistently good for 3 years. And then last year was a down year. Now, I don't think that Jaylen Waddle is going to win you your league by himself. Of course, though, in Dynasty, most leagues are 12 teams, start 10. You can't have 10 league-winning players, most likely. So you have to have other players. And the prices are very favorable. Now, some of these are ridiculous. You can buy Jaylen Waddle for Isaiah Pacheco. These are all real trades. I mean, if you want more, if you want other trades, I cover that in Patreon. I cover all the trades. You can ask me any question. Cover it in Patreon. These are the trades that I saw in the Dynasty Daddy trade database. You can buy him for Isaiah Pacheco, a combination of J.K. Dobbins and Tucker Kraft. This is a regular 12-team Superflex. Again, it's a great deal for Jaylen Waddle. And then this last one is insane. Jaylen Waddle and a 26 first for Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I would love to sell Christian McCaffrey for that. Maybe he needs to be the subject of a Dynasty sell video. But obviously, I would take Jaylen Waddle at this price. So it looks like he's buy and a very strong target for me, especially on a contending team. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. I'm offering a 50% discount off your first month at all tiers using the code TylerYT50. And a lot of people have signed up using this code. So I really appreciate all of those signups. You can get my rankings, access to the Discord, and the Discord is where I break down all of this news. So instant reactions immediately in the Discord. So you got to get the Discord tier to get all of that. My write-ups, I've been doing write-ups on the preseason, and I did one for every NFL team. Patreon-only videos. I do roster breakdowns, trade breakdowns there. Direct message fantasy advice. We know what that is. And the ability to ask in advance questions for the YouTube videos, which you'll see at the end of every video, including this one. Tiers begin at just $5 a month, $250 with that discount. If you want to know more about the Patreon, check out my why you should join the Patreon videos on the channel. They're on the homepage under Patreon promos. Now, again, a lot of people have signed up. I really appreciate every sign up. So if you're interested in supporting me and you like what I'm doing on the channel, you want more from me, I get very overwhelmed in season. So if you're asking me questions, that's going to take place in the Patreon. It's not going to take place on Twitter. It's not going to take place in the YouTube comments. I will be available all day for the patrons in the Patreon Discord and in DMs. Patreon.com/fantasy advice. Use the code TylerYT50 for 50% off your first month at all tiers. And I hope to see more of you there. And again, I want to thank everyone who signed up because there's been a lot of signups recently. So I thank everyone for that. Now, my final player, Jayden Higgins. And for a while, the hype train was huge on him. I mean, a lot of people were saying really great things. Lately, though, the train has seemed to have taken a break, which has given us another buy window. I'm not going to go through and review his entire college profile. I will point out some of the highlights. Started his college career at Eastern Kentucky, played there 2 years, transferred to Iowa State in 2023, and formed that duo with Jalen Noel, who is now his teammate on the Texans. And in 2023, Higgins, in 13 games, had 53 catches, 983 yards, 6 touchdowns, 75.6 yards a game. Fewer receptions than Noel, but more yards per game. And then in 2024, Higgins, in 13 games, had 87 catches, 1,183 yards, 9 touchdowns, 91 yards a game. Wasn't a big difference, but Higgins was the clear wide receiver 1 over Noel. More touchdowns, more receptions, and more yards per game than Noel had. His final college season was highly productive, but he was productive in his 2 seasons against top competition. He was a good prospect for me, someone who deserved the early second-round draft capital that he got. Now, again, we're doing this again with preseason concerns. Higgins played behind Xavier Hutchinson in the week 2 preseason game. Apparently, this is causing major concerns. Now, Higgins received a fully guaranteed contract. There is one other thing with Higgins that I did see. Usually, we don't care about preseason depth charts, but there is one particular case in which we do care. Whenever a rookie is listed as a starter, they almost always are, because rookies are usually buried on the depth chart. But if they're listed as a starter, that typically is actionable. We've seen it in the past with other rookies who were listed as a starter and then they were actually a starter, especially wide receivers. So I do think that's somewhat actionable to take a look at with Jayden Higgins. And I'm just not worried about him. The outside wide receiver 2 role is his to claim. I don't buy that Christian Kirk is going to claim it when he's been slot only for multiple years at this stage. Now, how do you get Jayden Higgins? Well, there was one interesting deal. The first one I saw was you could buy him for Caleb Johnson. I had these two kind of neck and neck. In rookie season, I was on the Jayden Higgins side of it because of the superior draft capital and, in my opinion, the superior college profile compared to Johnson. I don't like that a running back is struggling. Running back value is more fickle than a wide receiver for me. So I would stick with Higgins here. I had Higgins ahead originally. To me, Johnson has lost more value than Higgins. So it's actually less close than it was during rookie season. The next, Higgins for Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford is going to play week 1, but I don't want to deal with the falling knife of Matthew Stafford. He's a 37-year-old quarterback. I think we have to treat Matthew Stafford as a 1-year asset, and I'd rather have Jayden Higgins in Dynasty. Superflex. And then the last, this is probably the most unreasonable of the 3, but Jayden Higgins, 27 first and 27 second for Mike Evans. This is just saying I would consider Mike Evans would appear on a sell video. If this were a sell video, he'd be close to the top of my list. He's giving you a window. This is a massive return. I mean, 1 first is probably overpay for Mike Evans, let alone another second and a player who was an early second in this year's class who I still like. So Jayden Higgins, to me, 3 different avenues to buy him, but he's definitely a player who I consider to be a strong buy in Dynasty right now. And again, I'm not, buying too much into the preseason narratives. I'm still in on Jayden Higgins. So we've got some NFL news today. Daniel Jones was named the Colts starting quarterback. Yeah, I mean, he's going to start week 1. Head coach Shane Steichen said this is for the whole season. Now, let's talk about this. So, do I agree with this idea? No. This is the wrong decision. This is the wrong decision by someone who's trying to save his job, Shane Steichen. I don't think it's going to work. It's the wrong decision. They should have gone with Anthony Richardson. If he fails, he fails. But that would have been the right decision for the long-term future of the franchise. But the people making this decision don't have a long-term future. So I think I saw enough of Daniel Jones on the Giants. Daniel Jones is a backup. So this was the wrong decision. But what I do think is that it's a permanent one. I think it would take Shane Steichen being fired for Anthony Richardson to go back in. I do not think that Shane Steichen will reverse this decision and put Richardson back in. I don't think so. And we heard Anthony Richardson's agent say he's unsure of Richardson's future with the Colts. I could see a trade here. Richardson's clearly been abandoned by this Steichen-Ballard regime. I think this was a permanent decision. I think it's just, we're done with the Anthony Richardson experiment. Done, finished, we're moving on. It would not shock me at all if Richardson is on a different team by week 1. It just wouldn't surprise me. It kind of reminds me of Trey Lance, where it just, there's no Brock Purdy here, but it was the kind of thing where like it didn't work and you had to move on. It was going to be a distraction. It was going to not help anyway. You've run out of time to develop Richardson, so what's the point in keeping him, right? So again, I would watch this market for a trade, but for now, I definitely like the Colts, all of the Colts weapons except the quarterback, better with Daniel Jones than I did with Anthony Richardson. Now, the next news story, and this one is very sad, I will say. Jalen McMillan's neck injury. He's going to head to injured reserve with this injury, and that this is bad news. So apparently he's going to be out until at least the week 9 bye. And yesterday, head coach Todd Bowles said it shouldn't be career-threatening. Then today he said, well, I'm glad it's not life-threatening. I mean, we're talking about career-threatening and life-threatening. We've seen that neck injuries are bad news, usually very, very bad news. They ended many careers. I mean, David Wilson was obviously the first big example, but there's been a zillion examples since. Zach Moss. I think Jalen McMillan is borderline done. So, and that sucks because he had a good rookie year. We're not going to see what this would have been. Now, there's a little problem because Chris Godwin's also going to miss significant time. That was another thing that was kind of reported. He's nowhere. He's not even jogging. I mean, I don't know what he's doing, but I think Godwin's going to start in the pup. So you're going to miss 4 weeks there, and then we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than 4 weeks, more like 8 or 9 weeks. So that's another thing going on, which opens the door. I mean, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, and Cade Otton are the top 3 receiving targets. So I do think Emeka Egbuka, buy window's long closed on Egbuka. But I do think Egbuka could be startable, if not week 1, maybe week 2 or 3. He could be a player you're actually putting in your lineup and with relative confidence. So, of course, that buy window's long gone, but I did say to draft him a lot during rookie season. I was in on him during rookie season. I told you to buy him. So I hope that you executed on that during the rookie season and now can take advantage of that. I'll do some Patreon questions and I'll wrap up the show. At what point do we start to be concerned about Jayden Daniels losing his main playmakers around him? I mean, with Terry and Brian Robinson. Okay, so it's 2 separate things. Worried about the Commanders like winning games and being competitive? That point has already happened. Worried about Jayden Daniels for fantasy? Not so much, because we saw that Jayden Daniels was a really good real-life quarterback, and Jayden Daniels' rushing ability is what gives him the high-end fantasy value, and that has not gone away. So he was good even without great weapons last year as a passer. He was elite as a runner. So for dynasty and fantasy purposes, my concerns are 0. Those concerns would be for the real-life team, which is not so much my concern. Now, what do you think is your specific edge against the general dynasty field? Better, more active player takes, evaluations, better dynasty strategy, etc. Oh, well, I almost didn't want to answer this question because I thought it would, come off as ego stroking. But to be honest, most things I think I'm better. I will say dynasty strategy, I think I'm a lot better. I think in terms of my trading strategy, in terms of how I build around rookie picks and trading those during rookie drafts, I still don't hear a lot of people really discussing the ins and outs of that. In terms of player takes, in general, I think I am significantly better than most. in terms of rookie evaluations and rookie strategy. Again, look at my rookie drafts this year. You would have gotten a lot of Emeka Egbuka if you listened to me. That seems like a pretty good bet, right? You would have gotten a lot of Jackson Dart for nothing if you listened to me. So yeah, strategy, player takes. I think I'm way better. I've also been kind of an expert in start sit doing that for many, many years. It's one of the ways I built my fantasy content, empire, whatever you want to call it. So that gives you another edge that's, not common among Dynasty analysts. So that's another thing that I do. And yeah, in terms of more active, I think that's, of course, the biggest thing of all. I'm there every day. A lot of people talk about with creators. Well, it's nice. They're a great creator, but I sign up for their Patreon. I never hear from them. That's not the case. You'll hear from me every day. You'll probably get tired of hearing from me. You're going to hear from me every day about everything. If that appeals to you, if you want to hear my immediate reaction, and that's something I'm very good at, is having a good non-overreaction, immediate reaction to everything. So that is another huge edge, both as a Dynasty manager and as a Dynasty content creator, that you can get, in that case, mostly from the Patreon, because that's instant. Whereas the YouTube videos, you're waiting for the YouTube schedule for that video to come out. Whereas on the Patreon, I'm giving you the take immediately. And again, I don't think there's anyone better at reacting and being flexible and managing all of this news than I am. I've never met anyone who's like me. So those are some examples of what I think is my biggest edge. I'm sure I forgot some things that I also think I'm good at, but I really, really do have a lot of confidence. And yeah, again, if I had to pick one, it's definitely being active as a creator, being active as a manager, and reacting well to news, because there's a lot of news. Does Corey Krosky-Merritt have number 1 overall RB upside? I thought this was funny. I put this question in as written. Of course he doesn't. But of course the question is, what is his upside, right? He ran behind Chris Rodriguez in the preseason game. I do think he's going to overtake Chris Rodriguez at some point, probably pretty early. But Austin Eckler is probably the one I would start week 1 if I had to choose. So what is Corey Krosky-Merritt's upside? Probably less than you think. And he's a sell for me in Dynasty, certainly not buy. It will be hard for me to imagine him finishing in the top 24 this year, put it that way. When you're a contender, but you also have aging vets that are risky assets, what's the mindset of trying to trade those assets without sacrificing your potential contending window? Yeah, so that depends on the asset. That depends on how strong of a contender you are, and that depends on what you can get back. I will say there's one thing I will say. If I'm a contender and I have aging vets, I am less likely to trade them for picks only. I'm more likely to try to do something with at least a player involved that I like better. So that's the one thing. But other than that, it's very specific to the team and the asset. Is a better strategy to have a deep bench of players you can flex if needed, but may never be high-end players, or having handcuffs for premier players or stashes? Again, this is completely dependent on the team that you have. This is dependent on what players we're talking about. I'm fine having a mix of these. I don't have a specific preference for one of these over the other in Dynasty. I just want the players I have valued the highest. There are some uses for those safer players. There are some uses for those upside players. But again, I just want the highest valued players. So there's no real answer to this question other than that I want whoever's the highest valued players. And I do take into account the full range of outcomes when I'm valuing players. When you trade rookie picks and re-roll them, do you target teams for trade or to let people come to you? Well, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. So, of course, you have to target teams. If you just wait for people to come to you, nothing's going to happen. If you want to talk about an edge that I think I have, it's being aggressive, sending offers, and don't wait for someone to come to you. This is the easiest question. You have to target teams for trades. There's no other option. Otherwise, you're not going to make any trades. That's kind of what I found. So yes, be aggressive, target teams for trades. There's no other way. Now, if you like the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. All of my fantasy football content year-round. You can get a 50% discount at all tiers using the code TylerYT50. Sign up on the link, top right corner, patreon.com/fantasy advice. Every sign up helps support my independent content. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.